Hello and welcome to 60 Minutes or Less, a podcast from Birthday Cake for Breakfast. I'm Andy Hughes, and for episode 53, it's a strong start to kick off the year as we feature an interview with Jason Williamson, chief shouter in outspoken Notch duo Sleaford Mods. Off the back of releasing UK Grim in 2023, their highest charting record to date in the UK, in January 2026, Sleaford Mods are set to release their latest album, The Demise of Planet X, via Rough Trade Records. We spoke with Jason over Zoom in late November 2025. ASMR heads will have to forgive the sniffs and general cold related noises, as I somehow caught whatever Jason had halfway through the episode, so we're both working through sniffles at various points. The language is blue, as you can imagine, as we spoke of the new record, collaborating with the likes of Aldous Harding, Big Special, and Hollywood star Gwendoline Christie, as well as fashion and branching out into film roles. There's also surprisingly talk of a recent online spat with disgraced right-wing grifter Dapper Laughs. Remember him? If you like the episode, let us know. Follow us on your favourite streaming platform and follow Birthday Cake for Breakfast on all the socials. Right, on to Jason Williamson. Enjoy.
Hello.
Hey up, how's it going? You alright?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, good. You're looking very suave.
Thank you very much. It's very kind of you.
Yeah, you're looking very business. Have you done a few of these?
Yeah, I thought I'd better buy a decent camera and a microphone, do you know what I mean? So that's probably why I'm looking quite suave.
Well, if the music doesn't work out after all these years, you've got something else to fall back on. What's your day looking like? How do we find you?
Just interviews really, and my wife is currently cooking a stew for tonight. Everyone's got a cold. Fuck, I don't know about you, but it's just been fucking now. What the fuck? Yeah, so I've not been able to exercise for about a week. It's doing me head in, and I've got loads of press to do, but that's how it is, isn't it?
Yeah, I hear you. I've been sniffing all day,
Yeah.
and I only exercised yesterday for the first time because we've just come back off holiday, and
Oh, okay.
it hits you, doesn't it, when you've not
Yeah.
exercised for more than
Yeah.
like a couple of days. You do get
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
sort of, yeah, yeah.
Sure.
I saw you were doing one of your dances on Instagram the other day, and you were saying
Oh,
like
yeah.
this fit as fuck 52-year-old or whatever it is. Are you do you still find that that exercise really clears you out and it's really good for like your health and also just for like everything music wise and getting you all
Yeah.
together?
Yes, essential. I think without it, you'd struggle. I mean, you probably get by, but you can do so much more with a working body. Do you know what I mean? And I'm not just talking about exercising, but just health-wise as well. I don't drink or take drugs or smoke or anything like that, so that really helps as well. Yeah, I'd recommend it.
Do you ever get like when you're on tour, I take it you get the opportunity to do all this stuff because I appreciate you and Andrew, you've got a pretty minimal setup. Are you
Yeah,
able to
yeah.
still carry on when you're out there, on the road?
Yeah, but the trick is not to overdo it. Sometimes you've got a lot of time on your hands, and it's like, what do you do with that time? So going into touring next year, I am gonna be conscious of not overdoing it too quickly, getting into a routine that isn't too intense. Because obviously you're doing 90 minutes of like this cardiovascular stuff gig and getting up the next morning after 5 hours sleep and doing an hour workout, not necessarily the best idea.
Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing you at the academy years ago and sweat like pissing
Yeah,
pissing off you. So I can believe it's like a complete
yeah.
less so for Andrew, stood behind the laptop.
Well,
Although he is
he
smashing
now,
the
he's more and more active now, and he was burning like last year, the year before that, 1,000 plus calories a gig. It's insane. So it's like, fuck. So that makes you think, okay, well, I better you got to look after yourself, like food wise and stuff. You've got to, be careful not to undernourish yourself as well. I think.
sure. I mean, this isn't a male fitness podcast or a film podcast, but I
No,
did
but it
want
is it is on top, isn't it? It's
of
like
of
it
course, yeah.
is it's getting as prevalent as anything these days, I think, with people. So yeah.
But I was going to say, you've been in TV and film before.
Yeah,
You're in a new film game as well.
yeah.
You've been out and about promoting that. How have you found the
Uh-huh.
switch between, banging on about Sleaford to banging on about the film? And have you been enjoying getting dolled up? Because obviously you like your clobber. Have you been able
Yeah.
to exercise that muscle as well?
No, not really. Sometimes in well, you can if you want. I mean, and I do, but it's like it gets to a point where you start getting jaded by it, you know. So it's like it's not the answer, is it? Although it's nice to have nice things, it's like they aren't the answer. And so I think I try and keep an arm's length from how I associate myself with it. But at the same time, not feeling ashamed about wearing good gear because I'm earning a bit of money now, you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with it. But yes, it's been a bit weird doing album promo and then film promo. The film promo, I say weird because doing Q&As for the film is an art in itself. And it's then having to put yourself back in the frame of mind of the film, what it meant to you. I mean, we shot Game 2 years ago, do you know what I mean? So it's like, it's quite a long time ago. And so it's kind of put yourself back in that, you know, and also seeing how other people explain their roles and sort of trying to gel on stage together because it can. The thing is with Q&As, they can just fall on their asses. It's just long bouts of people talking, and it's got to be. You've got to sex it up a little bit as well, haven't you?
And how do you find, because I heard that, you've had to see the film quite a few times,
Yeah,
whereas with a record, you're very tuned into it, and then possibly
yeah,
you might just give it over to the people once it's released,
yeah,
so to speak. How is that getting into that mindset where you're like, all right, I'm watching the film again, but
yeah.
as you say, you are experiencing it from everyone else's eyes and such, if that makes sense.
Yes, it's really strange because it's a bit like a demo after a while. It's like, when you're listening to demos and you're listening back to them and back to them, eventually they go over your head. And that's how the film is sometimes. It just you don't start to take it in. Do you know what I mean? But also at the same time, it's audience reaction, which is really interesting, and just seeing how people react to it, react to the funny bits, to this bit, to that bit. Some areas they laugh, other areas they don't, and yet you'll play it again 200 miles down the road, and they'll be pissing the pants all the way through it. So it's a weird one.
Has it got you in mind for like what you're going to be doing next? Because I know that you've got Ben Wheatley on board, who's done the video for
Yeah,
your recent single. But
yeah.
have you ever collaborated with him for his sort of work, or has it always been
Yeah, just
Sleaford?
Rebecca. He did Rebecca on Netflix, and that was the only time I worked with him as regards film. But you never know. I think I know Ben a bit, and he is just solely concerned in the project. If by any if by chance you happen to wander into that project, then so be it. But there's never I wouldn't tread on anyone's feet. It's like that, it's hard enough for everybody in their own respective industries. So, you don't want to become a burden on anybody by constantly hassling people for acting jobs, which I've done before and didn't come away from it feeling very good. So I'm fortunate to be able to sit back and kind of wait for people to get into contact with you. Do you know what I mean? And plus, I'm really busy with Sleaford all the time. It's like I can't give myself to a casting agency. It just doesn't work. I've tried it before.
And on the acting front,
Yeah,
Gwendoline Christie, she's in the
yeah,
video for The Good Life and on the song itself.
sure.
And we loved her in Flux Gourmet, so it was, really cool seeing her in Sleaford Land.
Yeah,
Is it right that you wrote a part for her and that this is like her
yeah.
musical, her musical coming out, so to speak?
Yeah, she was like, I'm still in shell shock, to be honest. It's like doing a tune with, I don't know, any Hollywood great, isn't it? And I am not normally phased, but For this instance, I am phased with Gwendoline. I think she's just complete and utter talent that came to it and was completely egoless and was like, let's do something. And okay, I'll do something. Do you mind if I write something? Yes, not a problem. I sent it to her and sort of performed it on voice note, sent it to her and said, this is how I'd like it. Not a problem. She did the take in two or three in about 10 minutes. And for the rest of the session, we just sat and talked. But she's a complete professional, and she turns up and she's got her professional exterior, and that's what you see. She gives it to you and goes, it's fucking brilliant. I'm like, that is excellent. That's just fucking great. So yeah, I'm here for it all day. So yeah, fantastic.
I mean, you don't have to name names or anything, but have you ever had it where it's the other sort of vibe? Because there's obviously a lot of collabs on this new record, but
Yeah,
have you ever had it
yeah.
where it's just not clicking and it's hard to get around it?
No, because before we get into contact with someone, and I know definitely that it will work because you know their voice. You most of the time with collaborations, it's because I can't sing it. So it's like I know somebody that can. With Aldous Harding's feature, it was more like I can't sing this bit. Gwendolyn's was more, this is a complete and utter feature. But with Aldous, it was like I can't sing this. I know someone that can, and she would sound great on it. So you before I approach people, I know that it's going to work. Do you know what I mean? And it's just a case of them sort of, as long as they're willing to just take direction and as long as they're willing to sing something for the most part that's written by me or Andrew, then, it's easy stream. You know what I mean?
I did want to speak about Aldous because in our gaff,
Yeah.
she's right up there.
Yeah, big time. Yeah, I don't want to belittle her by saying that she's really underrated, but there is an argument to say that she's possibly one of the best singer-songwriters of the moment.
I'd probably agree with you there. I mean, it took me a while to warm up to the last record, but it's pretty wall to wall
It's interesting you
fantastic.
should say that, actually. It really did not let you in, did it? And it was like, it's not letting me in, even though I like it, it's not letting me in. And now it's started to let me in. And that's like 4 years, 5 years.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
3 years ago or whatever it was. And that's what's fantastic about her.
I must admit, because we really got into it when we were on holiday, me and my partner, and she loves
Oh
all this
yeah,
as well.
yeah,
And I knew you were on the record, but I didn't know where you were on
yeah.
the record.
Okay.
And we just thought she was doing all these daft little voices on Leathery Whip,
Yeah,
because she's
yeah,
so
yeah.
up and down with his character work.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I mean, and we've seen it live, and people in the crowd don't know how to react to it, and it's very, yeah. What was it like working with such a unique artist in that respect? She seems to have she said of, I read something where she said of yours and her relationship, you're very respectful, but you have unstable chemistry. I
Oh
don't know if you've
yeah.
heard that.
Yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't know what she meant about that. That's the thing with her. It's she's completely out there, and you don't always understand, but it's something that you kind of do understand. I mean, she does. She's professional. She'll turn up. She'll be courteous. She'll sit down. She'll listen to what you've got to say, and she'll do it. And she does it very quickly. And then anything in between that is how she is. And so, yeah, it's quite interesting to see. But also at the same time, it's as if you only saw her yesterday. So, I see her probably once every 2 years, not even that. I talk to her quite a bit, but, face to face, I don't see her that often at all. So, but she never changes in that respect. She's a very loyal person and also in some respects quite traditional. So it was a joy to work with her.
It's interesting to hear that. And it's interesting to see you crop up on records, just yourself rather than Sleaford.
Yeah,
And it's always like an interesting or a unique artist, so Aldous and then Baxter
yeah,
Dury and Alex
yeah.
Cameron.
Uh-huh.
Is it a privilege? Is it a privilege, getting to do this sort of stuff and getting asked to do this sort of stuff, or is it more a case of back and forth type of thing?
It's a back and forth mostly. Sometimes you're asked, but that's usually by people you're unaware of. We asked Sue Tompkins, who was suggested to us by Jeanette Lee from Rough Trade, one of our label managers. She kind of runs the company alongside Jeff Travis and has done for many decades, as you're probably aware. But she suggested this singer called Sue Tompkins, who was in a band called Life Without Buildings, that did an album, just one album at the start of the noughties. You ought to have look for it on Spotify or wherever, it's really good. But her vocal really suited the sonics of what Sleaford Mods are, so it was suggested that we perhaps approach her. So sometimes I'm unaware of a collaboration or of the person that's, going to come along and do something. But yeah, mostly it is back and forth, taking advantage of your popularity as well. It's like some band that's just come out that are really interesting and you like them and they could sound good on this idea you've got. 9 out of 10 times they'll say yes, which is great.
In that respect, you've kind of segged into what I was going to ask you next.
Yeah,
As well as Gwendoline on The
yeah,
Good Life, you've got Big
uh-huh,
Special as well.
yeah, yeah,
The song deals in, slagging off other bands and
yeah,
the issue with, maybe like putting your foot in it and stuff and
yeah,
taking on
yeah,
copycats in the music sense.
yeah, yeah,
It was interesting seeing them included because, when they first came on the scene, it seemed like there was a bit of a distinct likeness between the two bands, like they were
yeah. I mean, you don't
coattails a bit.
mind. Yeah, sure, you don't mind though. Yeah, I don't mind at all. You kind of get, what is it now? You've got like fourth or fifth generation of spoken word bands, haven't you, since we started? My wife interestingly put it that way. It's like I'm trying to be nice about them, not big special, but I'm a fan of what they do. But yeah, bands like Get Down Services would probably be the main example now, wouldn't they? That seem to be catching a wave with people. I get it, but it's kind of fourth or fifth generation, and it's like you are so familiar with that sound that it almost makes you not like it. But there are other interesting things, particularly with Get Down Services, that override that, perhaps the way they look. I've not seen them play live, so but it's like that kind of makes you think, well, okay, that's fair enough. But it's hard, isn't it, when you instigate, when you are part of the body of bands that instigated that sound, or rather, it was one of it. Let's face it, nobody else was doing it when we came out. It's hard then to be, what's the word? It's hard sometimes to be diplomatic about it. Sometimes you just want to go, no, that's just I'm fucking sick of it.
Do you find it seems like you've mellowed a lot on those sorts of points? Because once upon a time, there were Twitter threads,
Yeah,
sending scorn and
yeah,
stuff. But
yeah,
like, do you think you have mellowed somewhat in that sort of? Because I heard something you said where, you were saying that like it's good to have negativity and to have critical thinking in your head. You don't
yeah.
necessarily have to act on it, but it's healthy to have that sort of thought
Mm.
process. Do you think you have
Yeah,
mellowed there in that respect?
yeah, I'm more reluctant to spat my mouth off these days purely because it's like, really, what am I gaining from it? I mean, obviously, you've got to defend yourself, and if people start slagging you off publicly, then that's a different matter entirely. But even that, I'm just like, yeah, whatever. You just keep saying it because you're just going to anger yourself eventually, and we'll just carry on. You know what I mean? But yes, I think a lot of it is down to the fact that so what? All right, they're shit. He's shit. They're shit. So what? And it's like, it's like I can't. What am I gaining from pointing my finger at these people publicly? It's like we're a big band. It's like we seem to maintain a standard of creative output and maintain a living from this that is everything I could have dreamed of. So it's like, I'm at the point now where it's like whatever, you know.
I remember hearing a Stuart Lee thing where he said that he'd been slagging off, joking slash not joking all these comics, and then he went to some awards do, and they were all upstairs, so he had to like go around the corner and hide in a pub. Have you ever had have you ever had that sort of scenario, where you and Andrew turn up to something and there's whoever just stood there and he or she has, got an issue or
Nobody's ever said anything to us, you know. There's only been a few times where I've tipped up and people have been present and they're just quite sheepish. I mean, the thing is, a lot of them are quite younger than us as well. And it's like, yeah, there isn't any case where people come up and have a go at you, you know what I mean? I don't think I've ever had that. It's like people have a go at you in the press, but that's it, you know. But no, I've never had anyone come up to me and start shouting at me. No, it's not a thing really.
that's good at least.
Yeah, you know, I mean, as we get older, there's going to be other bands, you know, as we become part of the landscape, which we are now. It's like, you know, we're not this like fucking exciting prospect that blew up 11 years ago. You know, we're quite established. So I would imagine, well, there's been certain individuals and bands that have had a poke already, especially over the last couple of years. But you know, whatever, you know, you see these people, you're in a dressing room next door to them, and they don't say fuck all to you, you know what I mean? So it's like, where'd you go with that? It's like, well, this is just, it's an aesthetic, isn't it? More than anything, it's like, I'm going to say this because it's going to make me look good on Instagram. But in reality, people will never say anything to your face, you know. But also, we're in a climate now where you can't just hit people. It's like you get arrested. It's not like it was even in, you know, as late as the 90s, you know, the mid 90s, you could still go around and smack people and not get arrested for it. But now it's a very different matter indeed. And rightly so, you know. So
I'm glad you added the rightly so at the end there.
oh, completely and utterly. I mean, I don't know if you've ever been in a fight, but it's one of the most soulless, horrible things to experience in your life. Unless, of course, it's self-defense. I wouldn't want to put that on anybody. Of course, you can lose your temper with people. You can shout at people. You can tell people. But I think, you know, going that extra step further is a completely different ball game altogether, you know.
Particularly over stuff said on the internet or in the yeah.
Particularly over that, particularly with fucking music, it's like, and you know, people's opinions. It's like at the minute, as you're well aware, people have got some very strong opinions. Whether it's about, you know, October the 7th, whether it's about the Labour Party, whether it's about fucking reform or whatever, you know, people have got really strong opinions. And I think you have to, a friend of mine said the other day that you have to just sit there and just accept the fact that people have got these opinions rather than thinking that your opinion is better than theirs, you know.
I was interested to ask on that sort of topic, you as you were saying, you're established now and you're part of the I can't think what the word is, but well, the industry and such.
Yeah, yeah.
How is it like having an outspoken position and a platform and being expected to know all the right answers in in the
Yeah,
climate?
yeah, it's fucking right, it's right. I think, you know, the people, I think the establishment, or rather the media establishment, the entertainment establishment, you don't necessarily expect you to, but they're going to ask you these questions anyway. It's not so much them, it's just Joe Public on social media. And also your contemporaries that are just waiting for you to make a mistake so they can further elevate their own positions and make themselves look better than you in the world of music, you know. So yeah, it's a difficult one. It really is. I feel a lot better about it now than I did say even a year ago. I understand myself a lot more, I think, and I am not so bothered about what people think. I can quite honestly say, you know, it's taken me a long time to get to that point. But it occurred to me that half of the reason why I was having such a bad time with falling prey to cancellations on the internet, etc., was because I was so bothered about what other people thought of me and not necessarily who it was that said whatever. It's like, who gives a fuck? You write music, it's just shit. I wouldn't listen to you in a million years. You're not someone I know. You know, when have I ever met you? It's like, why am I worried about these people? So it took a while to get my head around that. And I'm at a point now where it's like, yeah, whatever. Okay, you think I'm this, whatever. You know what I mean?
It's with that sort of thing, I always think take yourself 10 minutes into the future and think if you had to explain what you've just done to someone, how would you come across? You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah, true. I think, and I've been there, you know, I've been at the accusatory's end where I'm pointing my finger at God knows who, for whatever, and feeling great about it afterwards. But you know, in the end, it's just a load of bollocks. It's an absolute load of bollocks. So yes, that's quite a good point what you said actually. Yeah, interesting point.
So on the, that sort of thing, I was interested to see this because it just seemed like such a blast from the past.
Yeah.
You on the single Bad Santa, you'd said that the top lads were getting wound up about it. And of
Oh
all
yeah,
pe-
yeah, yeah.
and of all people, fucking Dapper Laughs came out of
Dapper
the
Laughs.
woodwork,
Yeah,
came
yeah,
out of the
yeah, yeah,
woodwork about it. And
yeah.
I just thought it was a funny throwaway line in the song, And then all of a sudden it turns out he's got an Instagram account and he's posted a video and all the rest of it.
Yeah,
He
yeah, yeah,
he in particular seems to have doubled down, after he showed his arse
yeah.
on telly years ago,
Yes, yeah, yeah,
which seems so strange but very, I mean, it's what the song's all about, isn't it,
yes. It was interesting because he kind of commented, and his comment was really interesting. It accused me of being weak. It accused me of having mental health problems, and he decided to claim the song for his own. Like it was all about him when it was only one line. So all of those three things together are quite interesting. You know, here's a man that says that he's moved on and he's started a mental health charity, and but it all, you know, you reap what you sow, and all of his supporters that came in were completely very different to what he says he now is, you know. And it just reeked to someone that's probably, you know, still in self-denial about what the messages he's actually he's putting out to the public, you know, referring to women as birds, you know, like mimicking gay men in the form of Larry Grayson. It's like, what the fuck is that? It's like, so yeah, it was really, really interesting. What can you do? I'm not going to go back to him on the internet though. What am I going to say to him? You know, it's like you're almost hanging yourself there. You know what I mean?
how does it feel in that sort of respect? Because the song itself, it takes aim at like these right-wing grifters and the people who are very dangerous to like, young-minded and not young-minded, sorry, young men because they
Yeah,
possibly don't have role models and such.
yeah,
In particular, with that respect, with this person who, should have stayed in the past when he'd been cancelled,
mm,
quotation marks.
mm.
How is it having things misconstrued when you put it out there and then, like him saying it's his song and it's all about him and all the rest of it? It must be difficult
Yeah.
because you don't really want to have to come out there and explain it, but at the same time,
You shouldn't have to, and I wasn't going to because what he wanted was an internet argument. He had clearly had a lot of support around him that was going to just tread on everything I said. So even if I, you know, explained myself very efficiently in a few sentences, it wouldn't have mattered. You know, these people aren't after the truth. To be what they want is the truth to be drowned out so they can still lay on, you know, this kind of sofa of delusional lies, you know what I mean? Yeah, it kind of is annoying. Obviously, when you put stuff out, it's misconstrued and people then use it to make their own platforms better. You know, I've learned to not get so wound up about it and just step away, you know. But I mean, as much as poisonous as the internet is, the great thing about, or rather not the great thing, but one of the things about internet's beefs or whatever you want to call it is they're quickly forgotten, you know. So if you can sort of step away for a couple of days, it'll pretty much sort of fizzle itself out. You know, I don't. you know, people were like sort of saying he's bullying you, you know, you're bullying him, and I'm like, no, it's like, no, I'm not, you know, I'm past now upsetting people. I don't want to upset anyone, even Dapper Laughs. I don't want to upset anyone, you know what I mean? We're all human beings at the end of the day. But it's just like, you know, we are what we are, we do what we do, you know. It's like a lot of our lyrics contain stuff that talks about my opinions, you know, and it's what do you do with that, you know?
I did find it funny thinking about it as well, because obviously his video like picks apart certain things. And I thought, well, if you take the dancing out of context and stuff, maybe it does look a bit strange. But then, you watch the video for one of the other singles off the record, and there's like that sort of humor that Sleaford's always had in terms of
Yeah,
like the moves and stuff. But out of
yeah.
context, I can see why people who are
Well,
completely
I don't. What was he picking apart? Was he doing it step by step then, or?
yeah, it was just one of those, annoying internet videos where he's like, look at this exact clip. I mean, fair play, there was a funny line about Andrew because he's going like that with his like bobbing his head.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
he said
yeah.
he said he's lost his keys or something, which I thought, fair play was good.
Well, I
Um,
think to be honest, I mean, yeah, there is some of his short stories were quite funny, but you know what the where the lyric came from was a video of him playing some holiday place about 2 years ago, where he's just constantly attacking the women, but in a passive aggressive way. Like, you know, it's like it's quite dark, you know what I mean? It's like I think in his mind, he's moved on from probably what he used to do 5 years ago, which was probably more brutal. I'm not entirely sure, but the clip was taken from not a recent thing. I think it was a couple of years old, where you know he was sort of like, oh yeah, how many of you boyfriends, mates you've been through, etc. It's just like what you're doing, you know, and so that I thought added to the fabric of what we are seeing at the minute, along with people like Andrew Tate and obviously Donald Trump, etc. You know.
and it feels just in a lot of respects, not just that sort of misogyny and stuff, but it just feels like you'd think that we were past all this, wouldn't you? There's
Well,
lots
I
of
mean,
areas
there is. I mean, I think, you know, I am myself and misogynistic comes out. It does. You know what I mean? It's like, I think most men are. But I think what the difference between people like myself and Dapper Laughs is kind of probably aware of it and try and, you know, I don't know. I think it almost struck me that he's too scared to let go of the business model because that's what pulls the money in. You know, he is not prepared to let go of that. And he would rather kind of cover himself up by making out that he's more conscious, that he's doing charity work, that he's doing this, that, and the other. But, you know, it still feels quite dull, you know.
Yeah, I don't want to dwell on him, but it's very transparent with that sort of person, isn't it? Like those grifters where you can almost imagine them taking off the cloak at the end of the Instagram video and saying that's not me, but it's
Yeah,
difficult
totally. It's like you know, yeah, like I say, let's not dwell on him, but for him to come in automatically and accuse me of being mentally ill when he himself supposedly is starting a charity for suicide prevention for men it says it all really, doesn't it? It's like you're clearly not connecting to this. You clearly are just using the words here.
for sure. Quick break in the interview just to give you a heads up about some of our previous episodes. From our first episode to our latest, we featured interviews with the likes of Proto Martyr, The Lovely Eggs, Anna Erhard, Chat Pile, The Future Heads, Public Service Broadcasting, Gang of Four, Joshua Idehen, The Jesus Lizard, and even snooker legend Steve Davis. Treat yourself and go back through the episodes. Be sure to tell all your friends and comrades too. Enjoy! Last year, 2024, because this will
Yeah,
likely be coming out in 2026,
yeah,
Divide and Exit celebrated 10 years, which
yes.
which in itself must be nuts for you and Andrew to look back on.
Oh God, yeah, totally. It's all gone so quickly. Do you know what I mean? It still feels like, you know, we're still fresh. You know what I mean? It's weird, but at the same time, obviously, you know you're not. But I'm so involved with it. that I can't see, I can't get past the wood to see through the trees. Is that how the saying goes? Do you know what I mean? It's like I can't. To me, it just sounds as fresh as it did 11 years ago. Yeah, it's a weird one.
There's actually a line in, I don't think it's even like 2 minutes into the album, where you say, I can't believe the rich still exist, let alone run the fucking country.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
And
yeah,
I was sat there working this morning with the dog on my lap, and I was just like, oh God, that's so not prescient, but it's so still true today.
yeah. Of
And
course, yeah. So even if you've struggled in life, it's like, why aren't we all looking after each other and trying to make a better world? Why haven't we got past this? Perhaps we're not meant to at the minute. I don't know. Perhaps will we ever? I don't know. But it's getting to the point where it's like, if you don't watch out, these people are just going to run away with the world and leave you to deal with the smoking rocks and the landscape of fire and God knows what else is. What can you do?
I mean, bearing in mind that, again, we already touched on it, and this isn't me asking you to provide the answer, but you said an interesting thing about the new records that parts of the world are completely falling to bits and the West ignores it because of Instagram feeds and all the rest of it. That must, even though you've got to think about that from like, putting it into a song and melodies and all the rest of it, that must be like such a head fuck as well for you to be singing about that sort of stuff every night.
Yeah, yeah, it is. But I can't, if I ignore it, then it'll be even worse, I think, won't it? So
For sure.
better to thread it into the music and be constantly aware of it. Because if anything bad does happen, at least you're kind of half prepared for it. I think the thing is with terror, I think the thing is with war, you think that, you've got some idea of what it will feel like. And I think we have, but I don't think anyone has really, for 1 minute, thought about what it really is like to experience that. There's a lot of them going on at the minute, and it feels ever closer, ever present. Yeah, it's a weird one. So I don't know. I find it really inspiring. On the other hand, though, and a bit of a head fuck because there's so much stuff to write about. How do you do it? And that's such a challenge, but at the same time, it's kind of almost not. It's like, oh my God, this is put it into words and melodies, yeah, but it's like there is so much to take from. And I really enjoy trying to put it in a really interesting way, which is what I think we've managed to achieve once again with the eighth album, you know what I mean?
It's funny you say that as well because, with the last record, it was dealing with like the stagnation and a lifeless UK.
Yeah,
And that was only like 3 years ago. And like you say, it's so hard keeping up with everything
yeah,
because
yeah,
there's so much divide going on, not only in the country, but,
yeah,
throughout the world because of social media
mhm,
and such.
yeah, yeah.
So, again, no right answers, but it must be hard keeping on top of it in that respect as well. But so vital as well, like you say, to be able to have that voice.
Yeah, I think a lot of it also is trying to instill, a lot of it's just being honest with yourself, not overstretching your skill set and just thinking this is all I've got, but at the same time it's all I need. That's important. Making things, there's a lot of absurdism that goes into it. And with absurdism, you don't need to rely on facts. It's like if you've got a good sense of imagery, you're fucking halfway there. And I find that too many people that rely on clear, cold cut facts, I find it almost suspicious. It's like, you're giving me all this information, but what are you actually doing about it? It's almost as if they're using that to justify the fact that they're doing fuck all as well. You know what I mean?
on that sort of, bent with the way things are going. We spoke to you in 2019, and at the time
Oh yeah,
you said about Brexit, which seems
yeah,
like it was 100 years ago.
uh-huh,
Nobody knows what's going to happen
yeah,
still. And it just seems like that's not just Brexit now, but that just seems like the case for absolutely everything, don't you think?
Yeah, yeah. What has Brexit done? I would imagine it's affected a lot of people in the sense of small businesses. I think it's affected our kind of platform on the world stage. And obviously, because of our relationship with Europe, we need to be unified. I don't give a fuck how imperfect NATO is. We need to be unified. We need to, and the European Union, sorry, I don't care how imperfect it is. We need to be unified. We can't just be on our own. And that's all. That's the way I've always felt. And it's like, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know. It remains to be seen about everything, doesn't it? And I think this is what is affecting people almost feel quite lackluster at the minute and very despondent almost, even though they're not despondent. There's a despondency in responding, people that aren't. It's weird. And I think this general energy is fed into us as a mass of people in this country and indeed across the world.
On a lighter note, the album itself, regardless of lyrical content and themes, is
Yeah,
full of bops still.
yeah,
And I heard something recently where you said that you and Andrew are almost solo artists because you can both just crack on with what you need to do. How is it, keeping it fresh between you both? Is the collaborations, are they helpful in terms of that, or is it just you both have that ability to just crack on?
yeah. The collaborations really have opened it up for us, but also this, you need to keep finding new ways of working, of producing the music. And I think this time around it was getting Andrew to do more production than it was engineering, because it really opened his thought palette up to what we could do with ideas that I would send him on voice notes with, I pick an acoustic guitar up here and literally where I'm sat now is where I wrote some of the songs, crude sort of acoustic, quick sort of ditties with me singing over the top of them. And then he would transform that into a song. We did that with Elitist GOAT, Gina Was, Flood the Zone, Bad Santa, so yeah, it's kind of like finding other approaches, which is an obvious way because that's all there is to you, isn't it? It's like you can't not do anything else apart. You can't do anything else apart from that to find other ways, and I think that keeps it fresh. But yeah, the collaboration thing is definitely something that we're going to keep doing. It's kind of like another arm almost, but like I say, this kind of approach to how you produce the music is important as well.
For sure. Nice one. Well, thanks very much. Yeah, for the chat. I hope you enjoy your stew this evening.
Yeah, it smells lovely, to be honest. I'm hoping it makes everyone feel better as well because we're all full.
All right. Well, yeah, best of luck with the sniffles.
Nice
I
one.
feel you. But yeah, cheers again,
Yeah.
Jason.
Take care, mate. ta